Thank you very much, Dr. Ramasamy, ladies and gentlemen. We have certainly had a very energetic afternoon, and the word innovation has been mentioned several times. I've lost count, but I'm sure we're close to 1,000 individual sort of a mentioning of the word innovation, which simply speaks for the fact that there is clearly a lot of expectation on innovation. And as Dr. Ramasamy diligently pointed out, there are no specific definitions for the word innovation, but it's basically the process of putting knowledge, skills and creativity into a practical use. And in that sense, I think it also states for the fact that innovation as such is not an objective of its own, it's a means to try to progress or achieve higher ends, be those then the competitiveness in industries through the ability to increase productivity or the renewal of industrial sectors, creation of new companies, all are based on putting new knowledge, existing knowledge into novel, pragmatic use. And of course, innovation is also not only seen as a driver for companies' competitiveness, but very much a driver also in pushing renewal in the all facets of the society, be that in the private sector or the public sector. So in that sense, the word innovation gets to be mentioned often in Finland, of course here in India, in the EU policy talk, but probably for the good reasons that the essence of innovation is driving the utmost objectives of the society, being able to sustain the well-being in the country by being able to create new jobs to the economy, actually are all based in Finland, and all the knowledge-based societies in the process of innovation. And it has been already elegantly pointed out also that one should all have a broad understanding of the contents of innovation. It's not only pure scientific research that is driving innovation, but there are many other sort of forms that benefit from the same process. We're talking about not only technological or scientific innovation, but there are innovation in services or innovation in business models, where you basically use creativity, new knowledge, new non-scientific knowledge in a fashion that creates a competitive advantage, and again, through that is driving economic development, renewal, and the prosperity. In Finland, we've also introduced even the so-called workplace innovation, where we're trying to look into innovation in the way we organize work in companies or in the private sector, and in that sense are pushing the productivity development in a fashion that suits Finland and the other knowledge-based economies. And I think especially having listened to the excellent presentations and interventions today, one that specifically caught my attention was Minister Sibal's sort of a challenge to all of us that we need to innovate in the way we think. I think it was very sort of a to the point statement in saying that innovation is really a process where we are challenging all these existing and established mechanisms in the society, be that then the business or the private sector of the economy. Well, Finland has been mentioned as one reasonably advanced innovation system. Whether that's leashed or unleashed, I would dare to say that we haven't at least fully managed to unleash the Finnish innovation system. We have to be sincere and frank in saying that, of course, there are obstacles within Finland, of course, in the way we organize innovation. But being able to learn from one another, I think, is very much the essence of policymaking in this respect as well. And we are certainly willing to share our experiences with our Indian counterparts, be that in enterprises, in the academic world, or in the policymaking, and vice versa, learn from the Indian experience and your novel and even speedy ways of implementing innovation throughout the society. Well, briefly on the Finnish innovation agenda, I should also point out that we do have a new government in place in Finland following the elections in spring. A new government took office in June. And actually in the government program, the word innovation also gets to be mentioned 26 times, which is probably one of the favorite words also in the Finnish policy talk. But basically the message, what I would underline here is that the word innovation is not only mentioned in that paragraph, which is called innovation policy in the government program or the government agenda, but innovation is seen as a driver for the Finnish policy making throughout the policy sectors of the government, be that then healthcare, be that environment, be that development of the public service, not to mention the economic policies of Finland. So in that sense, being able to build on the knowledge-based competitive advantages in Finland is clearly an issue that has been steadily on the government agendas for the simple reason that it's one of the few areas where Finland can, by its own action, by its own investment, influence those factors that are driving the economic development and prosperity. And of course that stems even to a longer period of Finland, where basically education has been seen as one of the areas where the nation has to invest. And in that sense, the uniform educational system that we do have in Finland has been one of the simple but still important reasons why Finland has been able to sort of progress to the level where it is today, recognizing that the natural resources of the country or its position on the planet are not necessarily the best ones. But of course Finland is small, so there's no way of sort of compensating for the smallness of Finland. So in that sense we are actively looking for partnerships, and again, though we are sort of putting Finland and India here now at par, so talking about Finland-India innovation or science cooperation, one has to of course recognize that we're talking about the largest country in terms of population in the world, and then one of the smallest ones. But of course that's not as it is, but what we are building here is actually networks between people, between places, between organizations. So in that sense, innovation does not have any borders, it does not respect any sort of a national guidelines or national borders as such. So the essence of innovation is building partnerships between the best of Finland and the best of India, so that we can basically provide solutions that are serving and catering for the needs that we see jointly in the area of business, in the area of companies, and of course at the level of the society. And those features that were mentioned here, the inclusivity, accessibility, sustainability, scalability of innovations, I think are very well suited to this sort of a networking of the best of Finland with the key players of India, be those then the top science institutions, the companies, or other players. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just conclude by recalling, first of all, the two important meetings that we have had with the Indian ministers. Of course, today with the IT Minister Sibal, and his great address to the audience was giving fuel for progress. And of course then at yesterday's meeting with our Minister Häkämies and this Science Minister Deshmukh here in India. Basically the message from both of those discussions were that we've made progress. The Finland-India Science and Innovation Cooperation have rapidly developed to a level where we're talking about significant levels of cooperation. In the Finnish terms, for example, both the Academy of Finland and Tekes are funding joint R&D activities at a annual volume around, say, 15 to 20 million euros, and that's again co-funding activities. So in Finnish perspectives, Indian cooperation is already among certainly the top three outside of the European Union. So the European Union framework program is providing about 100 million euros worth of R&D activity in Finland, but in terms of India, we're talking about figures that are around 10 to 15 million. So in that sense, this is already significant cooperation, but the message from the ministers was that this is not enough. We should actually challenge ourselves and look for more. So in that sense, again, the FinNode presence here in Delhi and in India, I think, is the next vital step. So basically we have not only these, if I may say, series of meetings between the government actors at the ministers' level or at the level of civil servants like myself and Dr. Ramasamy, but we have actually and continuous dialogue. And in that sense, I'm sure the FinNode and Riku Mäkelä in particular here are, in a way, at your service 24/7 in accessing the Finnish innovation system and the best of Finland in building up partnerships. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me just conclude by saying, on the behalf of my ministry, the Ministry of Employment and the Economy, a cordial thanks especially to our Indian partners, Dr. Ramasamy and the others. I think we've made great progress in the few years behind of us, and there's certainly great opportunities for further increased cooperation. Thank you.